The Roman Republic period and assassinations. The Roman Empire is famous not only for its military power, laws and architecture, but also for its political scene full of intrigues, betrayals and assassinations. Power struggles, personal ambitions and political conflicts lie behind these assassinations. Today, we will take a closer look at important assassinations that left deep marks on Roman history. 1. Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, 133 BC and 121 BC. During the Republic period, reformist leaders who wanted to find solutions to the economic problems of the people became targets. Tiberius Gracchus touched the interests of the senators with his land reform proposal. For this reason, he was killed by a mob incited by the senators. His brother Gaius Gracchus tried to continue Tiberius' reforms, but he was also declared an enemy by the Senate. He was eventually cornered on the Capitol Hill with his supporters and escaped falling into the hands of his enemies by killing himself. These events revealed how dangerous the political structure of the Republic had become. 2. The assassination of Julius Caesar, 44 BC. Perhaps one of the most famous assassinations in Roman history was the death of Julius Caesar in 44 BC. Caesar was moving away from Rome's republican system and towards a one-man regime. He was given the title of dictator for life, which increased the discontent of the senators. A group of senators led by Marcus Junius Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus stabbed Caesar to death 23 times during a Senate meeting in the theater of Pompey on March 15, the Id March. Caesar's death plunged Rome into chaos and set off a chain of events that brought about the end of the Republic. The Roman Empire and assassinations. 3. The assassination of Caligula, 41 AD. Emperor Caligula was one of Rome's most controversial leaders. Although initially seen as a promising ruler, he became known for his despotism, mental health problems and excessive luxury. His disdain for the Senate and his self-proclaimed god caused a great reaction. In 41 AD, a group led by Cassius Chaerea from the Praetorian Guard ambushed Caligula in the palace. During the assassination, not only Caligula but also his wife and young daughter were killed. This assassination was a turning point in showing how influential the Praetorian Guard could be in politics. 4. The assassination of Domitian, AD 96. Domitian, of the Flavian dynasty, was known for his despotic rule and his ruthlessness towards his opponents. He was assassinated by conspirators in his palace in 96 AD. His wife Domitia, the guards and some senators had a hand in this plot. After Domitian's death, the Senate passed a damnatio memoriae, curse of memory, decision to have his name and memory forgotten. 5. The assassination of Commodus, 192 AD. Known for fighting as a gladiator and turning Rome into a showplace, Commodus was one of the most controversial emperors in Roman history. He was met with great backlash for his despotism, eccentricities, and waste of the people's resources. Eventually, even those closest to Commodus conspired against him. In 192 AD, he was first poisoned, but this failed. Then he was strangled to death by a gladiator. This assassination led to the end of the Five Good Emperors era in Rome and to civil wars. Reasons for assassinations. The reasons behind assassinations in Rome were multidimensional. 1. Power struggle, the desire to seize political authority. 2. Senate and empire conflict, the struggle between senators who defended republican ideals and emperors who wanted absolute power. 3. Personal interests and betrayals, conflicts of interest were common among political actors in Rome. 4. Public reaction, sometimes, public dissatisfaction played an important role in the assassination of leaders. Results and effects. Assassinations in Rome not only resulted in the deaths of individuals, but also in the change of political order and social structure. While Julius Caesar's death ended the Republic, the deaths of Caligula and Commodus exposed the fragility of the imperial system. Roman history is a unique lesson in understanding how assassinations were used as a tool of government and the long-term consequences of this. This bloody past offers universal lessons about the excesses of power and the consequences of political ambition. An in-depth analysis of Roman assassinations. To better understand assassinations in Rome, we need to take a closer look at both individual incidents and the overall dynamics within Roman society. In this section, we will examine the ways in which assassinations took place and the political, social, and cultural impacts of these events. The planning process of assassinations in Rome. Assassinations were often the result of long-term planning and meticulous strategy, especially for high-profile targets. 1. Secrecy. Secrecy was the most important element of the plan. Conspirators usually had to operate within a very narrow circle. For example, the assassination of Julius Caesar was successfully concealed despite being a large-scale conspiracy involving more than 60 senators. 2. Insider assistance. Many assassinations were organized by the closest people in the target's circle. Examples include Caligula's assassination by the Praetorian Guard, and Commodus's assassination by his own advisor. 3. Timing of execution. Assassinations were often carried out during times of high political tension or when the target was weak. Julius Caesar's death on the marches of Id came during a turbulent period in Rome. Important locations of Roman assassinations. Assassinations in Rome were often carried out in strategic or symbolic locations. Senate building. Julius Caesar's assassination took place during a Senate session in the theater of Pompey. This indicated that the assassins wanted to represent the Senate and the republican values of Rome. Palaces. Assassinations of emperors were often carried out in their palaces or private rooms. Examples include the assassinations of emperors such as Domitian and Commodus. Public places. Assassinations carried out in public were especially popular to symbolize general discontent with a leader. The role of women and families. Women and their family members also played critical roles in assassinations in Rome. For example, Domitia Longina. Domitia, the wife of Emperor Domitian, was involved in the assassination plot. This shows the importance of political intrigue within the family. Agrippina. Agrippina, the mother of Emperor Nero, played an important role in her son's accession to the throne, but was later killed by Nero. Nero's killing of Agrippina can be seen as a kind of reverse assassination. These events prove that the struggle for power in Rome was not limited to men, and that women were also actively involved in these intrigues. The influence of the Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard played a critical role in many of the assassinations in Rome. This special imperial bodyguard unit not only protected the emperors, but also became a powerhouse in politics by organizing or supporting the assassinations. Assassination of Caligula, 41 AD. Cassius Chaerea, leader of the Praetorian Guard, assassinated Caligula, proving that the Praetorians could overthrow emperors. Assassination of Pertinax, 193 AD. Pertinax was killed by the Praetorian Guard after only a few months of rule. The Praetorians showed that emperors were dependent not only on military but also political balance. The impact of assassinations on society. Assassinations in Rome were not only a political tool, they also left deep marks on society. 1. Fear and chaos. The frequent assassinations in Roman society created a constant sense of fear and insecurity among the people. This was especially evident during the imperial period. For example, after the death of Commodus, 5 different emperors came to the throne in Rome in a short time. 2. The shaping of politics. Assassinations directly affected the political structure in Rome. For example, after the assassination of Julius Caesar, Augustus seized power as the first emperor of Rome, ending the Republic. 3. Propaganda and manipulation. Assassinations were often used for propaganda purposes. For example, after assassinations, the leaders who were killed were either denigrated and erased from memory, or they were made heroes to gain the support of the people. Lessons to be learned from Roman assassinations. Roman history shows how excessive power and political intrigues shape societies. Assassinations are events that can change the fate of not only individual leaders but also an entire state. Rome was like a theater stage, where assassinations were an integral part of political life and power constantly changed hands. Assassinations in ancient Rome clearly demonstrate how political power can be both a magnet and a threat. From the reforms of Tiberius Gracchus to the death of Julius Caesar and the end of Commodus, these events profoundly affected the course of Roman history. Assassinations not only killed individuals, but also caused lasting changes in the political structure of the state, and were a catalyst for the cycle of Rome's rise and fall. These stories help us understand how dramatic events unfolded in the shadow of one of history's most powerful empires, and how the most basic desires of human nature for power, control, and survival shaped history.